Title, A Key to Truth *. I stepped into my son's hospital room after a devastating accident left him in a coma. The doctor's words were grim. His chances of waking were slim. My wife walked out without a sound, leaving me alone by his side. As I reached for his hand, a small key slipped from his pocket. Attached was a note in his unsteady scrawl. Dad, this unlocks what's hidden. Chapter 1. The wreck and the stillness. The ICU reeked of sterile chemicals and quiet sorrow. Machines pulsed with a rhythm that sapped hope from even the strongest soul. I stood frozen at the threshold, my shoes rooted to the icy tiles. My son, my only child, lay still in the hospital bed, entangled in a web of wires and tubes linked to indifferent monitors. At 17, a high school junior, he was bright, reserved, and uniquely mine. The doctor spoke softly but with finality. Severe brain injury, unlikely to wake, and if he did, he'd be forever changed. My wife said nothing. No tears, no anger, just a cold stare and a whispered, "I can't handle this *" before she turned and left us behind. I didn't chase her. I inched closer to the bed, took his cold yet faintly warm hand, and murmured, "I'm here, kid. I'm not leaving." That's when I heard it, a faint clink, something solid in his jeans pocket beneath the hospital gown. I reached in and pulled out a small silver key, not for a house but perhaps a lockbox or drawer. Tied to it was a worn scrap of paper, smudged with dirt and sweat, bearing 6 words in his shaky handwriting. "Dad, this unlocks what's hidden." My heart raced. Hidden where? Why hadn't he told me? Deep down, I sensed this wasn't just a teenage secret. This key was the start of something bigger, something that tied us together. Chapter 2. The secret compartment * sleep eluded me that night. I sat by my son's bed, watching his chest rise and fall, the machines humming their cold assurance of his fragile life. I turned the key over in my hand, puzzling over its meaning. What's hidden? At dawn, I left the hospital, whispering, "I'll find it, son, whatever it is." I drove home, the key's edges digging into my palm. My wife's car was gone, her wardrobe half empty. She was truly gone. I wasn't shocked. Since we'd moved to this city, she'd grown distant, always too tired, too busy, too detached. I'd made excuses for her. But her exit from the hospital, that wasn't fatigue, that was desertion. I entered my son's room, his haven of posters, books, and tech. He was quiet but perceptive, more than anyone realized. I searched every drawer, every box, every notebook. Nothing. Then I noticed his old wooden desk, bought when he was 10. He used to keep a sketchpad in its side drawer. I opened it and saw something odd. The back panel was slightly off. I tapped it, hollow. A faint seam was barely visible. I pressed gently, and with a soft * click *, a hidden compartment opened. Inside was a black leather journal and taped to the panel a USB drive. A chill ran through me. I opened the journal. The first page in my son's precise handwriting read, "Dad, if you're reading this, something's gone wrong. You always said to tell the truth no matter how hard. Here it is." This journal and the USB change everything. My hands shook as I turned the page. What I saw made my stomach churn. Dates, times, details, photos, names. This wasn't a diary, it was evidence. And the person he'd been tracking for 6 months was my wife. Chapter 3. His quiet investigation * I read on, stunned. My reserved son had been meticulously documenting my wife's actions for half a year. The precision was staggering, not the work of a suspicious teen, but of a calculated observer. December 5, 10:45 p.m. Mom said she was at book club. I trailed her on my scooter. She met a man at a gas station, got into his car, drove to the Grand Hotel. They kissed in the parking lot. Room 512. Each entry was like this, time-stamped, detached, exact. He had proof, receipts from places she denied visiting, photos of her with a stranger, screenshots of bank transfers from our shared account to one in her name alone. Then, midway through, it turned darker. A section labeled Intentions made my pulse race. Overheard Mom on the phone with someone called Carl. Said Dad won't be an issue once the inheritance is secured. She's planning to claim power of attorney if I don't wake up. This wasn't just infidelity, it was betrayal with intent. She planned to exploit my son's coma and my grief to seize control of everything. The house, the business, even my late father's estate, which I'd recently inherited and mentioned only to her. I stared at the USB, knowing what I had to do. I plugged it into my laptop and opened the folder named for Dad. Watch it all. The first video, grainy and time-stamped 2 weeks before the accident, showed my wife and the man from the photos in our kitchen. She laughed, sipping wine, and said, "It'll all be ours soon. He's too blind to see it coming." And with the boy gone, no witnesses, the man asked, "What if he wakes?" She smirked, Then it's just a tragic accident. Bile rose in my throat. My son's accident wasn't an accident. They'd tried to kill him and failed. Now it was my turn, not for vengeance, but for justice. Chapter 4. Setting the snare asterisk, I sat in my dim office, the USB's faint glow reflecting off the laptop. The weight of the truth crushed my chest, but I couldn't dwell. My son was alive, barely, and those responsible were still free, scheming, waiting. No more. It was time to move. I backed up every file, videos, transactions, photos, onto 3 encrypted drives, one for me, one for my lawyer, one for a safe deposit box. Then I contacted the only 2 people I trusted. First, Detective Ray Monroe, retired but still connected from helping me with a business matter years ago. Over the phone, I said, "Ray, I need you to see something about my son's crash. I think it was attempted murder." A pause, then, "I'm there in an hour. Bring it all." Second, I called my attorney, Lisa Chen, a fierce legal mind who'd once bankrupted a CEO over a contract breach. "Lisa, I need to revise my will, power of attorney, and file a restraining order against my wife." Silence. "Got it. I'll be at your office by morning." While waiting, I reviewed hospital security footage I'd paid an orderly to obtain. It showed my wife visiting the day after my son's coma with the man from the videos. They didn't hide their closeness. He touched her back. She kissed him in the ICU, then whispered to a nurse and headed to the records room. I called the hospital administrator. "This is Daniel Holt. I'm reporting unauthorized access to my son's medical files. I have video proof. Check your logs before I go to the press and the medical board." When Detective Monroe arrived, I had everything organized on a drive. He watched the videos, his face grim. "My God, they plan to kill your son. Maybe you too. This is conspiracy to commit murder. Can you reopen the crash investigation?" I asked. "Better than that," he said. "Give me 48 hours. Don't confront her yet. Let me work with Lisa. Act like you know nothing." "Why?" "Because," he said with a tight smile, "people like her get careless when they think they've won. Let her dig her own grave." The plan was set. I spent the next 2 days by my son's side, whispering how brave he was, how proud I was. I didn't know if he heard me. Then as Monroe called to say, "We're ready," my son squeezed my hand, faint but real. He was waking, and soon those who tried to silence him would regret ever crossing us. Chapter 5. The wolf stirs the next morning. I entered the hospital with 2 coffees, one for me, one for the nurse who'd kept me updated. But my focus was on him. My son's eyelids fluttered, his hand twitched again. When I whispered, "I'm here, son," his lips moved slightly, trying to speak but unable. He squeezed my hand harder. Tears stung my eyes, but I held firm. "Rest," I said. "You're safe." "I've got this." I wasn't waiting for fate. I was fate. That afternoon, Monroe and Chen met me at my office with devastating news. "Daniel," Chen began, "your wife and her accomplice set up a fake LLC using your business credentials, siphoning $700,000 into offshore accounts." She slid a binder forward. "Transfers, forged invoices, all tied to you on paper but not by your hand." Monroe added, "Traffic cams placed the boyfriend, Brent Halstead, near the crash site 20 minutes before it happened, when he claimed to be out of state. And your wife's phone pinged there too, unmentioned in her statement. We've got motive, evidence, and a clear trail." The DA wanted an airtight case, so they proposed a sting. I'd invite my wife to a private dinner, saying I knew about the affair and was willing to settle quietly. Divorce. No claims on the business, no charges for the theft. If she signed and left. Chen would prepare the papers, Monroe would record from the next room. The moment she admitted anything, she'd be done. That night I called her. "Jasmine, I know everything. You, Brent, the money, the companies. I'm not angry anymore. Let's end this cleanly. Come over tomorrow night, papers are ready." A pause. "You know what asterisk?" she asked. "Everything," I said. "I'm not fighting. Sign and we're done." Another pause. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll come." She thought she'd won. She didn't know the trap was closing. Chapter 6. The snare snaps. I set the table with care. Her favorite wine, soft music, divorce papers neatly stacked. Jasmine arrived in a sleek dress, radiating confidence. She surveyed the scene. "Trying to charm me, Daniel." I poured her wine, just settling things. She glanced at the papers, sat, and crossed her legs. "You always kept things tidy, and you always hid your claws behind a smile." Her eyes flickered, but she sipped her wine. "What's the deal?" "Sign and leave with what you brought." "I won't pursue the stolen money." "Pursue?" She laughed. "If you had proof, you'd have used it." I leaned back. "You sure?" Detective Monroe stepped in, badge visible. Jasmine's glass froze. "Jasmine Lee, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, and suspected attempted vehicular homicide." She stood, shouting, "Daniel, what is this?" You said no charges. I replied calmly, no charges if you were smart. But you chose Brent over our son. This is a setup. You can't prove anything. We have the video, Monroe said. You and Brent in the garage hours before the crash. Her face paled. You weren't supposed to make it, were you? I said. Neither was our son. She lunged, screaming, but Monroe and Chen restrained her. Cuffed, she was dragged out, still yelling. Brent fled but was caught 2 days later near Baja. The DA didn't hold back. With forensic evidence, texts, transfers, and a doctor's report of pre-crash injuries, it was a slam dunk. Attempted murder, financial crimes, decades behind bars. The real victory came a month later. My son Tyler woke up. His first word, Dad. I broke, sobbing at his bedside, holding his hand. I'm here. They'll never hurt you again. Epilogue. A quiet victory 16 months later, life is transformed, beautifully so. Tyler walks again, cautious at first, now running through the yard like he's chasing lost time. His therapists call him a miracle. I call him proof that love and truth endure even the darkest betrayal. The house is peaceful. No lies, no hidden phones, just mornings with pancakes and Tyler's pencils scratching across sketch pads, his art alive again. Jasmine got 25 years, no plea deal. Brent got 18, weeping at sentencing. Their names are ruined, the media feasting on their scandal. Even Jasmine's parents, who once scorned me, cut her off after the trial. I started a cybersecurity firm to help others protect themselves. Business thrives, trust spreads fast when your work has impact, but I don't chase wealth anymore. I chase calm. Last Christmas, Tyler gave me a card. To Dad, for staying, for fighting, for believing. Inside was a sketch of us, fists raised, standing over a chained lion. I framed it. I see it daily. Revenge is loud, but justice is silent, sharp, and final. Sometimes justice is a father and son, smiling across the breakfast table, knowing they survived. Was this justice deserved? Share your thoughts below. If you believe this story resonates, share it with someone who needs its strength and follow Lauren's Tailies for more gripping stories of betrayal and redemption. Here, every lie meets its truth and every betrayal finds its reckoning. Stay vigilant, stay resilient, and stay tuned.